Customs, back here with you guys, and today we're going to talk about dyno tuning. Sorry, had the windows down. We're going to talk about dyno tuning versus street tuning, pros and cons. Why would you do either one? Which one would you do? Why would you do it? So let's go. Let's get into it. Before we get started, we're going to introduce another member of this video who's off in the distance, minding his business, really hoping not to be on camera. And it's not Mark, it's Junior. What up, Junior? Say hello to the fans.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. So welcome to the channel, welcome to the video. I'll kind of hold it over here if I can, so you can see both of us. So, dyno tuning, street tuning. Is there a difference other than the fact that your car is on the rollers or the hub dyno versus being on the street? You can data log with both. However, there are a lot of things you can do on a dyno that you cannot do on the street. Now, there's a good side part to this though, and that is a lot of people will do some of their tuning at the drag strip because you can see how much of a change certain things made. In conjunction with your data log, you can get a lot of good information that way. Or they use a GPS, unit like a draggy, which we've done that as well. And draggies are a really accurate way of being able to measure the differences. However, it's not as accurate or defined as the information that you get on the dyno itself. Specifically with areas like timing and ignition timing and air fuel ratio. So on the dyno you can see the differences on how much power it makes on a certain air fuel ratio. It's also a more controlled test than a run on a draggy or at the drag strip. Less outside factors at play. So a lot of people want to know, what's the advantage? Why to run on a dyno? Is there an advantage? And yes, there is an advantage. The advantage is you have a more defined readout of data on a dyno. That doesn't mean you can't do any tuning on the street. A lot of people tune on the street. We've tuned on the street for years. But once you reach a certain power level, it gets more difficult. And if you're really trying to get the most out of your tune, it's not possible to tune on the street just with data logs to get the absolute most out of your tune. Because here's why. When you can get close on timing, right? But you can't get your timing to that sweet spot, that perfect spot, because you can't see enough of a change on the street with an extra 10 horsepower for each degree or whatever you make. You won't see that on the street. You're not going to feel it. You're not going to see it on your data log. You're not going to see it on your draggy. That extra 10 horsepower is not going to show. So you get it close to what you think is a safe conservative number that still makes good power, and you'll leave it there. However, on a dyno, whether it's an engine dyno or a chassis dyno, a hub dyno, whatever it is, you'll have enough data on each pass. As long as you're smart enough to, if you know how to use a dyno, if you're smart enough to make sure you have all your variables in a controlled setting. So like, if you're heat soaking it, running it over and over and over again real fast, you're going to start, having issues there. You're going to have power loss from heat soak, which then you won't know if your extra timing was needed or not, because you won't see any power. But if you do it correctly on a dyno, is the most accurate way to get your timing and everything dialed in. Because when let's say you add a degree or two, if you start off low on timing, like let's just go with like an LS setup, right? So if we're on an E85 on an LS, I would start, depending on how much, depending if you're boosted or if you're naturally aspirated, I usually like to start about 8 degrees lower than what I'm expecting it's going to take. And then I'll go through and add a degree at a time, or 2 degrees at a time, whatever it is. And I can monitor the amount of change, right? So if I add 2 degrees and it picks up 20 horsepower, and then I add 2 more degrees and it picks up 20 horsepower, and I add 2 more degrees and it picks up 20 horsepower, and then I do it for a 4th time and it picks up 5 horsepower, well, we know we're at the limit. So we back it down a couple of degrees, make sure it's still safe. Depending on what fuel you're running, you might have to back it down more. But with the 85, you've got a pretty good cushion there. But that's how you do it. Same with fuel, start it a little bit on the rich side and take a little bit out at a time until it shows a nice smooth run, until it shows nice smooth gains. And so like on a dyno, you can see those changes per RPM, right? So you can tell, like, okay, at 3,000 RPMs, it actually needed a little bit more fuel, and we pulled a little bit out at, whatever, based on the design of the engine, the head flow, the exhaust, everything comes into play, your cam. Whereas on the street, you might say, okay, well, I added, a degree of timing, or I took out a degree, or I added some fuel or took out fuel all over the entire map, right? And it picked up a little bit of, took off a little bit of time, or picked up some more speed. Well, that's fine, but you don't know where. You don't know where it picked up that power as much as you do on the dyno. And that's an important factor. That's a really important factor, because you're getting an overall look on how it performed. Even if you do it in one gear, you're still only getting an overall look at how it performed through that entire gear. You get an end number of, it made 60 to 130. Let's say you're doing pulls like that. It did it in 5.5 instead of 5.56 or 5.7. Okay, that's cool, but you don't know where it picked up the power at in your actual RPM range. So you might be hurting yourself by adding time, or adding fuel everywhere, adding timing everywhere. It might be hurting yourself in a different area on the tune itself. So, oh look, our helper fell asleep. Way to go.
What?
I'm gonna hold it with the other hand. My hands get tired. So right now we're on our way to Bern, Indiana, to go help a guy work on his ZR1 Corvette, getting some work done to it. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it didn't take long. He conked out on me. The helper just stopped helping. It's my brother's car. He's got a C6 ZR1. It's a pretty sweet car. Doing some work to it, so we're gonna go help him get some of that done today. But I thought I'd get on here and talk to you guys a little bit about why would you want to, have your car tuned on a dyno versus on the street. And are there situations where tuning on the street is fine? Yes, there are. If you're not looking to build a drag car, and you're okay with adding a little bit more power, let's say you want to throw a supercharger on it, or a turbo on it, or you put a cam in it, and you just want to get it dialed in pretty close, right? You can get it really close. You're not going to get that extra 15 to 20 horsepower on a naturally aspirated car, or that extra 40 or 50 or 60 horsepower on a boosted car that you can get with a dyno. So are there areas that it's okay? Yeah, maybe not everybody wants to spend the extra money to get that extra 20 horse. However, I will tell you, your engine runs cleaner, it runs safer when the tune is completely dialed in. You have so many more. If you here's a good way of looking at it. Break it down to in every RPM, 1,000 RPMs, right? even if you broke it down to every 1,000 RPMs, which we've got control at like every 50 RPMs, 10 RPMs, you know. If you break it down into segments, you might get your tune like pretty good from 3 to 5,000, but it might be pretty lazy or pretty bad, you know, from 1,500 to 3,000, and you don't know it because you're just doing a street tune. Now you know that the air fuel ratio is where you wanted it, where you set it, but that doesn't mean that that's the best place, right? So you might say, well, on average, you know, a naturally aspirated LS wants 14.5 at idle and cruise on air fuel ratio, and usually around 12.5 to 12.8 at wide open throttle. So you can set a generic, you know, learn table or generic target air fuel ratio, and you know, then go out and do data logging and get your fuel map to match your target air fuel ratios in them specific areas, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean that target air fuel ratio is the optimum air fuel ratio for your engine. And that's the part that you really need a dyno for. You can find out where the optimum air fuel ratio, where the optimum timing is specific to your engine. And I don't care if you've got the exact same cam, same heads, same valves, same springs, same exhaust, same engine as someone else. I don't care if you literally did a copy paste build and have everything 100% identical. And I'm talking down to the fuel injector, fuel rails, regulator, all that stuff comes into play in your tune. If you have all that identical to your best friend, your tune is going to be different than his tune. Still, it will be different. There are small factors from just the manufacturing of the parts that make large differences on what your engine is going to be happy with its tune. What's up? Hey, Hunts. What's up? It's Lil Stevie from Waco, Texas. What's up, Lil Stevie? So we're just on here talking about the differences between street tuning and dyno tuning. We've done a lot of street tuning. We just bought our first dyno a few weeks ago, and we're getting into using that. And the difference between, I mean, I've rented dynos in the past to tune our larger horsepower cars, but the difference between the definition of what I can see, the information I get, and what I can do with a dyno for tuning an engine is it's not even comparable to the information you can get on the street. It's not impossible to tune a car on the street. It is impossible to tune a car to near perfection on the street. It is. And anyone who is telling you that they can tune your car to perfection on the street, it's going to run better, it's going to be more fuel efficient, make more power. That's just a fact. Anybody who has done this long enough knows that fully and agrees with that fully. It's not new information. It's nothing that we discovered. It is just common information. You might lose me here for a second. I'm driving through a town that we know has awful signal, so bear with me. I will be back to decent signal hopefully soon here. And if not, if we end up losing signal altogether, we'll jump on here later and we can have this discussion again this evening. I do a lot of live videos while I'm driving, and that's because we work so much. We're busy all the time. So it's hard for me to try to get on my phone and do a video unless I have some sort of a physical break between working. And driving just seems to be the time when I can do that. So we are losing you. Bummer. 012 GMC Sierra I just bought. Oh, nice. Is it a 1500 or a 3/4 ton or a 1 ton? Is it a gas, diesel, 6-cylinder, V8? What do we got? 5.3, 6 liter, or 6.2 I mean? Or 012, 6. Did they have a 6 or was it a 6.2 at that point? I don't remember. I can't remember when they switched over to the 6.2 in the Silverados. I think it was later than that, but I could be wrong. It might be a 6.2 already. I don't remember. Anyway, 1500, Z71, so it's a 5.3, or is it? Didn't they have a? Well, the Z71 would be a 5.3. Yeah. Heck yeah, you got a Gen 4 5.3, dude. You've got the perfect engine for building power. Like the preferred 5.3. I mean, we can make some crazy power with that motor. Not naturally aspirated as much. I mean, we can get, you know, decent power NA, but man, them things boost. You know, everybody talks about how much a Coyote loves boost, but a Gen 4 5.3, when properly set up, is a dangerous motor, man. They make some good power. I think we should be focusing on building them and give some F-150 5 liters for a run for their money. So, yeah, they're fun. We've got a Gen 4 6 liter, which is also a very popular engine. It's an iron block, and they are, you know, known for being very strong. It's a built motor, it's not stock, but even on a stock bottom end, a Gen 4 stock bottom end 5.3 or 6 liter, they'll handle a crap load of boost, make some really good power. I'm not saying they're going to beat a Coyote. I know they're not going to beat a Coyote. It's just been proven that stock bottom end Coyote setup for boost, they're, you know, they're hard to beat. 12 grand, that's it. Dang, that's not a bad deal. It's 4-wheel drive, so you know we can make some pretty hard launches with that. Now I'm coming into another small town. I don't know with Verizon. You guys need to get their towers out here, and it's despicable. So losing you again. I'll get back to you, bro. All right. Losing you again. I'll get back to you, bro. All right. Sorry, man. I can't help it. I'm probably gonna lose all my viewers because of the service. I really need to pick a different path to drive to Burn if I'm going to do live videos, but it's literally a straight road. It's a straight road all the way from my house to where I'm going, and it would be an extra 25 minutes to try to go around, which might not be a bad thing if I'm doing a live video, I guess, but it'd be like an extra 25-30 minutes if I had to go around these small towns to stay out in the, for some reason, the rural areas, country areas, for some reason the country areas get better service, but these small towns, Geneva and Bryant, look them up. Geneva and Bryant, Indiana. It's awful. It's almost as bad as driving. Get over to the Ohio state line. It doesn't matter where I'm at on Indiana, Ohio state line. No service. This is not working out well. I'm gonna go ahead and keep the video going, because once we get past this area, it'll come back. If you guys, I get it. I completely understand, no hard feelings. If you bail on it for a minute there, or if you don't come back, I get it. You got busy days, busy lives. But I do want to get back to the discussion of street tuning versus dyno tuning. If you guys watch, like, there's a lot of channels out there that you can see where they're making adjustments to their tune with a draggy. That's not, there's a bit of confusion there, a bit of, I think, might be a little bit misleading. So they're not tuning the car. The tune is already done. They've already got, you know, their fuel maps and their timing tables. All of that's already done. What they're doing at the track is they might mess with the timing a little bit for, like, timing retard for launching and building boost, stuff like that. But it's for that individual surface and that track prep. It's not the same thing as the tune that you need to do, your initial tune on the dyno. And to be honest, the majority of people out there who are, you know, building a, let's say, like 700, 800 or 1,000 horsepower street car, 500 horsepower or less street car, you don't typically need to do a ton of adjustment at the track. But if you do need to, you need somebody like myself or another tuner who knows how to look at your data logs and make adjustments accordingly to help you get better traction, to, you know, 60 foot better. Maybe it needs to, maybe your engine's building too much heat by the end of the pass and you need to actually dial it back a little bit at the big end. There's a lot of things that come into play when you start making big power that you don't have to mess with if you're not, you know, making that 1,000+ horsepower. Most of your sub 1,000 horsepower cars are pretty they're pretty simple to just set and leave it, you know, unless you've got really, really crappy tires or really bad track prep, or if you're doing street poles or street racing or no prep stuff, you might have to get into a little bit of adjustments at the track, you know, between that, you know, 600 and 1,100 range, but that's about it. Under 600, you're pretty much good to go. It's a fun car for the street, but it's not a drag car. Sorry to anybody out there who I'm insulting that has less than 600 horsepower. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just saying your car is pretty easy to dial in at the track because you'd have a lot less to work with as far as power. But that's not tuning. That's not the same thing. They're not making tuning adjustments to like dial in the safety of the tune for the motor. It's more, you know, how much boost on a launch, how much timing on a launch, how much RPM at the launch, how much to, you know, are we using dump valves, not using dump valves, you know. There's a lot of stuff that comes into play. So you see like Cletus making changes at the track to get a better 60-foot time. It's not the same thing as what you would do on a dyno. You do need to do that if you have power that he's making. That's all I'm saying. There's a difference there. That's not really street tuning. Street tuning is taking a vehicle like that's, you've got a whole new setup on and you have no tune, so you put in what you think might be a very conservative, safe base tune, and then you work from there and add a little bit of timing, take a little bit of fuel out until it, you know, seems to feel right, and then you're gonna have to work with, you know, building your map off of data logging, which is very easy to do, very, very possible to do. I mean, but there's a limit. There's a limit to what you can do and how much power you should try to tune on the street, not only for tunability reasons, but safety. I mean, you can imagine taking a 1,000 or plus horsepower car that needs to be ran in, you know, as close to 1-to-1 as possible. I mean, if you're 1-to-1 on a 1,000 horsepower car, you could be reaching speeds of 150 to 180 miles per hour pretty easily on a typical transmission. And that's just not a great thing that you should be doing on the street. I'm not going to say I haven't done it. I'm guilty. I've done it. But I don't have to anymore. Now we have a dyno. And I don't have to risk other people's cars on the street, which is also not something that you should be allowing your tuner to do. If he street tunes and he's out there, you know, making 700, 600, 700 plus horsepower passes on 1-to-1 to try to dial in your tune, yeah, you're putting yourself at risk. You're gonna lose your car, someone's gonna get hurt, killed, whatever. Not smart. So anyway, that's about all I have on the subject. You guys got any questions about it? I need to like open this up for questions or comments. Who else has any other input that I haven't mentioned? Anything else that I haven't, you know, already said that is important for the subject? Other than I'm choppy. I hope I'm not still choppy. Let's check in on our helper here. Oh, I woke him up again. What's going on, Mr. Helper? Yeah, he's helping a lot. So anyway, I haven't seen any questions pop through. I'll wait another minute here, and we'll see what we got. Actually, if you guys hold on for just a minute, I'll show you. We're almost to my brother's house where he's got his C6 ZR1. I can show you his car and the work he's doing to it, and it's gonna be a pretty fun build. It's gonna be pretty fast. So it'll definitely be the fastest car he's ever owned. That's for sure. So that'll be cool. And he's had some pretty cool stuff. He's had a 2011, I think, CTSV that was, you know, built by RPM over there in Pennsylvania. It was a pretty cool car. Definitely not slow by any means. Couldn't keep up with our Fox body. I'm just picking. If he's watching this, I just had to pick on him. But still a pretty fast car. It was like 750 wheel. But, you know, they weigh about as much as a house, so. All right, we're here. Let's go check it out. Let's go check out a ZR1. Ready? Are you ready? Hey, grab some tools with you. Let's go. What's up, Bentley? Or Bocephus, I mean. Wrong dog, wrong name. You got that stuff? You got this? Just make 2 trips if you have to. All right, we're here. He doesn't know that I have YouTube live video going right now, so hopefully he's not upset with me for it. I haven't asked him if it was okay. What's going on, crazy puppy? I've been trying to talk him into building that thing, the Ford Explorer ST, but it's his wife's car. She wants it stock, and I get it. All right, let's go. You stay here. Oh, get back. Don't need your help. Here we go. And we're here. He's like, look at him. This is my brother, Dustin. Guess what? He's actually a veterinarian. And in his spare time that he barely has, he works on cars too. It's pretty sweet. What year is your ZR1? 2011. Same year as the CTSV? Cool. Pretty sweet car, huh? So what's happening with this is it's getting some modifications. As you can see, there are some parts missing. So that's what we're working on today. This is his high school car. What year is the Talon? 96. 96. He had this sent over to Rob Fig, and it was there for like 3.5 years. And it's a pretty powerful car too. Like what, 650?
600 wheel.
600 wheel. Yeah, it runs pretty good. A little bike collection here. That's his fastest car he's got. Right there. A little Corvette. Yep. Well, guys, we'll flip it around here. We're gonna jump off here and
Parts over there.
get started. Oh, we got parts over here. Ooh, look at that. That's pretty.
You're looking at yourself.
Oh, that's not very pretty. Check it out.
So I got in today.
Taco Bell, it's gonna be hard for me to rev a car for you because the heads are on the bench. So that's not gonna work out so well. Ooh, look at that. That's real nice.
Yeah, full carbon fiber.
That is sweet. Look at that massive filter in that thing. Holy cow. Heck yeah. So you guys will get to see Tesla Model 3. Funny. This will destroy a Tesla Model 3. You guys will get to see this thing on the dyno hopefully soon.
Yeah, I just need a few more parts.
With some different wheels? Are we gonna dyno it with your street tires? I would, yeah. So, yeah, we get this thing together. We'll get her on there and see if it can make more than 400 horsepower. I'm not.
410.
410's the goal.
Yep.
Okay. 410.
Yeah. Made 520 before the mods.
Yeah, 520 before. We want to detune it. It's too fast for him. He almost totaled my Fox body, so we slowed this one down.
We're putting heads off of this Saturn on it.
Saturn heads. Saturn. Yep, Saturn view heads. If you've never seen them before, they're pretty beefy heads. So, anyways, guys, I gotta get to work, so I'm gonna jump off here. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and don't forget, get some.